Alex Ansary here. It is August 7th in the year 2018. What's happening with Alex Jones sets a precedent, as a lot of people know, as a lot of his critics know, for other channels to also be purged. So there's a discussion being had amongst many of the people. You can see online through many of the videos being uploaded with regards to this situation, the potential repercussions. As someone who's already stated that I believe that he works in close coordination with the tech companies, I think that what you are seeing is staged to actually boost Alex Jones launching his own private platform, and that being in a way a more powerful juggernaut. Himself, his face, less likely to be banned from YouTube. His other channels still remain. And we also have him going from position 56 in the Apple Store to position 7. So, I can save about a half hour of dialogue by just saying that in the events of the last day. He's gone from number 56 to number 7. Briefly looking at his own video and his own citation of the Communist Chinese and how he made sure to place that in several times. I will say to you now that the behavior of Alex Jones in the weeks leading up to this is suggestive of someone that was intentionally putting out content that was more extreme than was even the norm for Alex Jones. There was a number of different things that came up, and I did see that video with the kid. There were a few others that were pushing the envelope. And so something like this, when you already have a Titan, it's not like they did this to Alex when he was small. If they did this to Alex when he was small, and before the election or during some other time, say, I don't know, 2015, when some of the false reports were coming out. Because, see, I'm also a fan from the old school of InfoWars, and there was more truthful information, in my opinion, back in the day. And even things in which people were unified against police corruption, brutality, and other things. And as a person that would actually be labeled as a conspiracy theorist by a lot of people on the left, I faced a lot of judgment and have not seen an open interest to even some of my content that is apolitical, that is straight up philosophical and spiritual. I have content that is on this channel that doesn't even deal with politics, that deals with the paranormal, that deals with other areas. And I have found that the quote-unquote left, there's a reason why I'm an ex-Portlander, they can be incredibly judgmental. One of those topics is about that day that got us in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. That basically is, I would consider it to be one of the most flagged topics that there is. And in a lot of these, this is what concerns me. In a lot of these videos about what's happened to Alex Jones, there are a lot of robot voices, by the way, also the mainstream media is utilizing. Right? We're in the day and age of the robot reporter. And I'm hearing this robot voice reporting on Alex Jones. And again, or a human voice that sounds more and more robotic. They're always bringing up his stance on that day. And in my opinion, that's a very different Alex Jones, the Alex Jones that would grab a megaphone and make a documentary about issues surrounding that day and how we got into the wars. The Alex Jones that's promoting the people from those lands as a generalized threat to the United States. And information that declared many of the Syrian immigrants to be wholesale members of that particular group. You know what I mean? That particular group that starts with an I. You see, and then they flagged through the AI, they make it a flag topic for you and I and others to even have a healthy conversation about these topics. Well, Alex Jones was, by design, I would say, even though he said a lot of good things and got our attention by discussing that day, it seems by design that he would become number one and that he would have so many years to put out that content. And I've seen evidence that the tech giants are not really against that content. And they're creating really a fake narrative that they're protecting and coddling immigrants from those countries. And they can certainly make it appear to be as if they are. That's kind of strange for them to now put in certain words in their terms of service, that they're protecting certain groups, when I've seen incredibly obscene extreme content promoted, suggested by YouTube. Even Google, in the Google News section, has periodically suggested Alex Jones. And in one case, the Daily Stormer. So this is actually to prove a point to those that are listening, and to bring it up again, that I believe that we're being told a false narrative of the tech giants being against Alex Jones. And I'm giving you another narrative or understanding of what possibly and more than likely is actually taking place. They helped him get to #1. This includes constantly his documentaries being in the trending section. As I talked about the last few years, they're using Alex Jones to take down the truth movement, because he influenced many of us, and I think that I'm one of the best individuals out there on the internet to really break this down, because I don't come from a place of absolute historical disdain for the guy. There was a period in which a young Alex Ansary was borderline mimicking. Worshipping's a bit strong of an action, but the level of appreciation that I had in him, he was somewhat of a role model. Out that word that sounds so dirty, but the 2000s were a different time. So I'm from the old school. And so, you know, I remember going to InfoWars as far back as 2002. I'm 38 now. So that would mean when I was 21, I got involved in, I guess I could have started a little bit younger. But I went through some crazy stuff in the late 90s. Just the energies were intense. And there was something about 9/11 and waking me up to a particular truth. That particular truth is demonized now because of AJ. And what they're doing now is they're comparing what he used to do and what he used to talk about and things of that nature, that day that got us in these current wars. And they are bringing that up to bring that association with hatred, or with the things that Alex Jones is currently saying. And this is something that his current fan base does not address. I mention it in videos. They hear the things that I mention. Some of them will even, they did so more in the past, would still show up some association with 9/11 truth. I wonder if some YouTubers, like Chris Green from AMTV, if they deliberately played up Donald Trump as a truther to purposely create that association between trutherism and Donald Trump, while knowing that what they were saying was false. It's pretty critical that I raise some support for myself with what's happening with YouTube and the increase in self-censorship, because we don't want what happened to others to happen to us. The only real solution is to build our own platforms. The private content that I create is specifically shared over at outsidethebox.vhx.tv for members only. Okay, $5.95 is the monthly amount. That's how much it costs to join. Okay, so there's access to a private forum, and as more people will join, and I ask you that you do. We've had the first person join in months. Thank you, Clovis. He actually had issues supporting over at Patreon. If you've had issues supporting over there, or maybe you don't want to support over at Patreon, the exclusive content is going to outsidethebox.vhx.tv. Now, there's another component to the censorship and ways of surviving the censorship. And there's also information that we need to create, content that we need to create, books to write, videos to make, even documentaries. But is some of the information suitable for the general public when we're as divided and, one could say, psychotic as today? Are there privacy concerns? Is there some truths that some people aren't able to accept? Are people acting like they have mental health crises, accusing us to being a part of some sort of political group or gang perceived to be their political enemy when we simply share our own truth? Are people programmed to act in an aggressive way or manner when we share our own truth? Well, are we seeing the mainstream media towards the right? And are we seeing in elements of those that are on the right that aren't able to handle unique talk, that will label everything different, libtard-ish, or of that side of the political aisle? So during these times, and I hope that things get better, I truly, truly do. But during these times, certain information, certain understandings might be better served sharing that epiphany with future generations that will be ready for that information. Whereas only a very small fraction of the current society truly seems to have an open mind or heart. I've seen like a real drop in people that are truly independent of the political system. I think some of you feel me. I think that's why you're here. But I think that's also why there's only a few of you. After all these years, there's only just 100 of you or so that will be listening to the course of this podcast or over the course of the next 24 hours, maybe 200 if I'm lucky. Truth is, that was the same level I was reaching people at years ago. In some cases, it was actually quite higher, despite the increase in subscribers. So where do we go from here? I would be happy if you considered outsidethebox.vhx.tv. So that's $5.95 per month. Join anytime, cancel anytime. It also ends up being about $5 a month if you do the 1 year. And last year we had a couple of people purchase for a full year. And so this is something that I would prefer to Patreon. Now that option is there, as well as just donated via PayPal, alexansary.tv/donate. And a very special thank you to those that do donate over PayPal. Especially those of you that specifically donate because you appreciate some of the spiritual perspectives. And most of that I will continue to share on YouTube, because we actually have to grow the percentage of the amount of our brain that we're using at this point in order to come up with solutions. We got to think on this. We got to go beyond the left-right paradigm. We have to look at the actual reality that we're dealing with. For people like myself that are barely making above $100 a month AdSense on YouTube, that are living off literally like $300 a month, which is less than the average person. Most people are homeless that are at that level. At least I'm making land payments on land that I made a down payment on years ago. So I'm not in the streets, but I'm at a very low level of income. At times it's very difficult. And we're not just talking about the grumbling of the belly, or periods in which I have a flat tire for weeks because I just don't have the money to be able to advance things forward to the point where I have the spares that I need on time and things of that nature. Just recently I spent $100 on a battery thinking that that would get the RV up and running, because it's been sitting for 2 years and there are things like mice and kittens. Apparently it has no brakes and it won't go forward and backward. And I came upon to this understanding yesterday. And I was hoping that my RV would be a bug-out vehicle in the event of a fire, in the event of something else. So I'm going to be looking for a mechanic. The mechanics aren't free. You know, so it's like I have to be patient. There are things that I've wanted to do. Travel, West Coast. You know, there's a part of me that wanted to see Portland again a few months ago, and looking at the current developments, I'm definitely rethinking that. So I'm not planning to be leaving Colorado anytime soon. And despite the fact that it's difficult to convince people that independent media is worth supporting on a monthly basis, the tune of $5.95 per month, I can't give up letting you know that that is the second option for me personally. And it's the platform that I created a few months ago, right? It may not be as exciting as YouTube. There may not be the sense of a live stream with having hundreds of different people, but the reality has changed. The world has changed. Issues have become very, very controversial to both the left and the right. For a guy like me who's independent, I feel worried about the left and the right at the same time. That's not something that a lot of you have empathy for or understanding, but it's the truth. I'm looking over my shoulder now at those that associate with the right and those that openly associate with the left. Both of those I consider to be those that would find disdain for my content and would perceive it as their political enemy. Years of Portland, Oregon, and assuming that I was with the right wing because I didn't like Obama, like literally like ejected me from that leftist stronghold, only to go off the grid, go my own way, and still be called a leftist because I don't believe the talking points coming out of Infowars.com, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, and others. But I never was with the conservative side. I was always with the free, independent thinking side. You see, but that's been demonized by today's left and right, without a mature acknowledgement as to what they have done with their groupthink to the individual that has left society for the wilderness for a reason. For a reason. OutsideTheBox.vhx.tv. Okay, we had our second 20-second subscriber join just recently. So I'll put out a video, a bonus video at least once a week. We'll see what happens with YouTube. YouTube is not the future as a result of what's going on. People that don't know already, right? That seeking things like the truth about that day that got us in these wars are not accepted by. Like people want to say that YouTube's controlled by the left, and YouTube this and YouTube that, and they don't seem to realize that some of the topics that some of us have been discussing are topics they want removed. Topics that they are very allergic to. Things that are conspiratorial in nature. Things that allege this deep-seated corruption. Okay, it seems like the machine is kind of purging out that content, and we need to be real with it. And the people that are for the censorship of certain individuals, people like Alex Jones, they're lost too in the sense that they don't see how this machine can be turned on them in a matter of a few years or a political cycle. So this is the time that we need to be building our own platforms, because I can assure you, Alex Jones is being given plenty of time to build his own new platform. With all the CNN reports, and with him being number 7 in the Apple Store, he's probably going to be number 1 pretty soon, if he's not already, and if he remains on the Apple app. All this is going to ensure that Alex Jones has his own Jonestown tube, and that the censorship, air quotes, censorship of Alex Jones, right, gets so much airtime that he will also get the subscribers, whether they're paid subscribers or free subscribers. If you or I, or especially I, were to find ourselves censored in that manner, we wouldn't have publicity to let our wandering audience know where we are. We would just be gone. And that would be the end of it. Unless we already had someone that would have a megaphone to alert the masses. And so, since he's not being censored from the internet, and he has enough power, money, and allies to create his own social media empires, he's on his way to dominating the alternatives to already the big-time outlets. But where does that leave the rest of us?